Hi guys, Coach Fens here from FTP Training. Okay, so we're going to discuss racing and some racing tactics and just cover some real basics about racing and the things that a lot of people get wrong, and it leads to huge disappointment come race days and events that you've targeted. So I'm just gonna bullet point and outline different things that we see as coaches. We get asked, my FTP coaches, we chat about it in our coaching meetings. We get asked lots and lots about, we talk about and debrief with our rider, and we talk about what happened during the race, and we try and work out, potentially maybe what went right, or maybe what went wrong, or what others are doing. And some common mistakes by amateurs in racing, especially some of the masters fields, are the very beginning of the race. You have to understand that right at the beginning of the race, everyone's fresh, and even riders that are nowhere near as good a condition can produce quite big power outputs for small amounts of time. And often everyone's trying to attack, and it's just absolute bedlam and carnage. Firstly, in those situations, we have to know our competitors. We really need to do some research on that. We really need to know who we're competing against. And if it's a national event, sometimes that's not obvious because you're not racing against these guys all the time. And if you're new to racing, you don't know who all the individuals are. But that's down to you to get some research done. Look into race results, previous nationals, states results, etc. And try and get a grip of who's in your race, and look at the start sheet, look at their numbers, write them down. Okay, so write them down, put them on a little piece of tape, write them down, put them on your bars, and then suss out what are they wearing, what kit they got on. Way before the race has even started, I'd be looking around and knowing who my competitors are in this race. So when you start and everyone's going blasting up the road, if it's not those guys, then there's a very good chance that that's not what you want to be doing. Because if you do that, you're going to use matches, you're going to use energy that you need to save. Okay? I would be looking at my main competitors. Who are the guys that are the strongest? Who get the results week in, week out? And I would sit with them, on them, near them, and move with them. Okay? So if one of those guys goes, there's a pretty good chance that he's going for a reason. He's not, he's an experienced racer. He's not blasting off the front or going from, 20th wheel up the right-hand gutter. He's not doing that for fun. He's doing that because he believes there's a chance that his move, or who he's going across to in the break, is a winning move. So if you're following him, if you're shadowing him and looking at him, you have to use hardly any power to be able to follow his move and sit in his slipstream. He might give you the elbow and tell you to come through and do some work. And you've got to make a judgment call then. Because personally, in those situations, if you're strong and you're strong, you can come through and do your turn. It's the honest thing to do. But if you're not really super strong, then you don't have to come through. He might abuse you and give you some stick or what have you. But it's racing. You're out there to get a result. You're not out there to make friends and get people to pat you on the back for how honest a good worker you were. So just sit on him and he'll tow you across, or you'll go back to the pack. It's down to him. He's the one that wants to win the race. He's the go-getter. He's the guy that's done it all before. So he's either going to tow you over, or you're going to do a couple of little turns and you say, I'll do what I can, but you're bluffing. Yeah, you might be super strong. Look, mate, he might not know you. I can do a few little turns with you, but I can't do a lot. I'll help where I can. Okay, you're saving energy all the time. You're doing as little as you can to get into that winning move. Okay, if he sits up, you go back. There's no point you going across if you can't make it and get stuck halfway, get caught by the pack, and then get spat out the back. So I'd say the first thing you need to do is understand your competition. You need to know who the guys are, who the girls are, and if you're new to the sport, you need to really follow them. Look how they move around the pack, look how they move around the peloton, look where they sit. Comes to a second point. Very, very often in racing, especially if you're new to racing, you get shuffled, okay? You get shuffled back through the group, back through the pack. And then all of a sudden, you're on the end of an elastic band that you're not strong enough to be able to sort out and mend and fix. When you're at the back, you're always chasing on. and going through corners or roundabouts or sharp turns, the elastic band effect of those accelerating from the front means that you've got to use more energy to get back into the group. And it's often the weaker riders that are sitting there. So if you're in a small bunch that's just got dagged off the back and you start up a climb, all of a sudden you've got to make a race-winning move just to get back into the race rather than to attack off the race. So position in the peloton is vitally important, and that would, I would say, again, go back to knowing who your competitors are. Okay, if you know your competitor and you're sitting with them, if you get shuffled back, your main priority is to move back up in the group. Okay, I would say, especially in masters riding, it can be quite negative. And it means that often you can sit a little bit further back because everyone will chase everyone, and it'll be quite a negative type situation. And therefore, you know, only the very strongest will get away, and often they have to wait till people are more fatigued later on in the race. Again, if you are sitting with the stronger riders and know who they are, you're going to know when they go on, you know, with 20 minutes to go in the race on the final climb, that that's the move you need to be in. And you're either good enough to go with it or you're not. But if you're at the back of the pack and they're 10th wheel and they go, you've got to be stronger than them and to be able to get to them, let alone to be able to beat them. Okay, so I would say know your competitors, number one. Position in the pack, vitally important. And it's a learnt skill, guys. Okay, it's a learnt skill. It's not easy to be bumping bars with people, especially in masters riding, because often a lot of people don't have a lot of experience and they can freak out with that sort of thing. But being comfortable on your bike, being comfortable in the group, knowing when to move up then is probably my third point. So say you have got shuffled to the back, you've lost your key riders, you can't see them, suddenly you're at the back of the group and the hammer goes down. And you're hanging on for dear life, and just thinking, I need to move up. You know, Fenza said, I need to be at the front, But moving up when the peloton is absolutely full gas and the top guys are at the front trying to split it, trying to move up then obviously means you've got to be stronger than them because they're giving it the best they've got. And very often that's not the case. If you try to move up then, it's often the case that you will then get spat out the back as soon as you go round into a cross or headwind or something, and suddenly you're out of the race. So you have to be patient in that situation. You have to just relax and be patient if you've got shuffled. In a sense of you've got to say, well, I can't move up now. I'm going to hope that this comes back together, and that's the point that everyone then generally just eases off the gas a little bit. But it's often the point that the person or yourself sitting right at the back, you think, fantastic, it's time for a break because I'm absolutely smashed. Heart rate's maxing. I've just done probably PBs across my 1 minute and 3 minute power just trying to hang on here. But sitting up then is the wrong move, because as it slows, you need to then move up. You need to then make sure it's a tough time because you want to relax, you want to chill, you want to recover. But that is the vitally important time that you need to move up in that group and try to shuffle into a much better position in the peloton. It then gives you the chance to relax and recover then, but in a position where if it goes again, you're not going to be dropped. Okay, so number one, know your competitor. If you know the competitors and you know where your best riders are and you stay with them, all the other things work out anyway. Okay. Number 4, I would say, is again, if you're riding as a single rider and you're riding with teams, you have to shuffle the cards. You have to be incredibly brutal then, and you have to play a game of chess. In that you can't beat 5 guys that are all working together. You can't do that. So what do you do? Again, I would target one specific rider of the strongest team, and if that team is gunning for that rider, then you know full well you don't need to chase it back onto anyone, because if he's not in the move, right, you remember you're watching him, you're watching him all the time. If he hasn't gone and he's not in that move, then those other 4 riders that are riding for him are going to do the job to get it back. It's not down to you. You haven't got a team. All it's down to you to do is sit with that guy and you may get abused again, because it does get a bit abusive in the peloton. But you've got to stick to your guns. You're not going to compete against 4, and they're going to do the job for you. Okay, so they're going to correct the mistake of the key rider not being in the break, and they're going to pull it back. So again, patience is needed, and observation of what's going on around you, vitally important. Look, I think those 5 points straight off the bat are points to instantly allow you to be a better rider in the group and get better results without that disappointment of getting spat at 20 minutes. I can go on and on about racing tactics and things, but I think those key fundamentals will help you to race better and perform better when it comes to your next race. So think about those points, try to action those points in race situations, and I know you'll get the race results and the performances that you want. Alright guys, I hope that helps. Lots of stuff to get and digest. I might be telling a few how to suck eggs, and I realise that. But you know, there's a lot of people out there do not have a huge experience in racing, and therefore, you know, having those key fundamentals sorted will help you to ride and be fitter, faster and stronger. Alright guys, I hope to catch you out on the road or trail. Bye bye.